and down. Cairns want to slow it down. They haven't been great in transition. Started off with a zone. I always think the dangerous thing about starting off with a zone is you don't have the same intensity in a zone as you do in a man-to-man. It's not a great way to start the game. You might come out a little flat.
I agree 100%, Steve. I've always thought that you get up the court, play 100% of the floor, it's going to get the blood going, it's going to get everything circulating, and you'll be able to create the tempo that you want for the rest of the game. A lot of guys just mentally relax when you're in a zone. They don't mean to, but that's what happens. And you're right, it doesn't set the scene for an up-tempo or get the guys into the game very quickly. I would rather have them play a couple of minutes just to get them going up the court and then maybe drop back to that zone. I think it works better getting the players going.
And they have. Cairns started out, they look flat. Simple as that. Darren Ing catch and shoot from the wing. He's off the mark. Dowdo can't reel it in, but it goes off of Chris Warren. So Cairns do get the inbounds.
Not a bad shot there from
the ball handlers in. Kerry Williams in with Jamar Wilson. Taipans only 6 rebounds. 36ers with 11 assists. 36ers lead in that department, and Cairns have more turnovers as well. So statistical battle going to the 36ers as well as the score.
Nice shot there. Kerry Williams stepped in. Nice looking shot out of the hand. A lot of rhythm.
Hey. Crossing. Hey, none of that waving stuff, all right? Seriously. I made the call, just wear it. Okay. 11 wide.
Ian Cross might get a little warning for, waving the referee off. We saw that last night, as a matter of fact, on the Gold Coast. And the refs don't want to be embarrassed. They're out there doing a job, and they don't want you making gestures like that embarrass them.
Yeah, exactly. If you look at the NBA, for example, the players aren't allowed to show any reaction at all, or it's a text straight away. And I think it is a good rule. I wasn't very good myself at it. I always used to have my little say to the referees, but they need to be treated with a lot of respect. They're out there doing a job, and they're officiating the game.
Halliwell eventually works himself into some good position and scores. Williams needs a little help. He just throws it away to Nathan Herbert. Daniel Johnson, contact, no call, as Williams was underneath the hoop.
And he just snuck that one in. That's his second one there. It would have dented his confidence a little, I think, if he missed that one. But Adelaide really upping the pressure here. Trying to get some turnovers early in this quarter.
Cairns look rattled by that pressure. And that's the turnover. Kerry Williams just throws it away. Now, he was double-teamed trying to throw it out of it. Looked like his team just abandoned him.
He was left 1 on 2 or 3 in the backcourt there. He always should have someone in the backcourt to alleviate that pressure for you. And he ended up throwing it straight to the 36ers.
And often you think, okay, well, you shouldn't panic, take your time. But with 8 seconds to get it up, that's not a whole lot of time.
It's not a lot of time, especially if you're put under enormous pressure. I say not to dribble into pressure, but you want to have some options if pressure arises. You want at least 2 or 3 guys that you can pass to.
Darren Ing with illegal hands and wrapped around Kerry Williams as he was trying to get over the top of that ball screen. Loudon looking for Jamar Wilson. Johnson just sitting on the split line waiting for that exact shot.
He did well there to get around ANZBallaz, but he didn't count on Daniel Johnson coming from the weak side as we see him just swat it into the backboard support.
Yeah, that was like a volleyball spike.
It's like you just set it up there for him, wasn't it?
Wilson quickly. Now, those are tough shots that he makes look easy. Just got it up there before the defense could respond, any kind of help.
Especially when you got Wade Halliwell coming from behind, a 7-footer at that height. You have to have a quick explosion to get it up before he can come across and pin it on the backboard.
And he just had his previous shot maybe 30 seconds ago. Spiked out of bounds by Daniel Johnson. Warren in the corner. Nowhere to go. Finds Ing. Halliwell. Loud is able to. Darren Ing has to shoot it before the shot clock expires.
Daniel Johnson there getting called for coming over the back on Jeff Dowdell. A good block out there by Jeff Dowdell.
Daniel Johnson, I think he's retaliating. Gets an explanation that the referee actually saw what happened and didn't feel it was enough for a foul.
Cairns will do themselves a few favours here if they can start to block out. Adelaide getting quite a few second chance opportunities just by getting down, getting some offensive boards.
Dean Brebner into the game for Cairns. Loughton, nice little bank shot about 8 feet away. Draws Cairns to within 7. Yeah,
nice touch by the big fella.
6'10", Alex Loughton, very mobile. Crowd trying to work themselves into a foul. Johnson to Helliwell. That's off the mark. Alex Loughton pulls it down.
Halliwell getting quite a bit of time in this game. This is more court time than what he's probably seen for most of the season. So he needs to make those little opportunities in close to the bucket.
Warren. Dean Brebner on the offensive glass. He's fouled. He goes to the line. Dean Brebner knew that was off. He got a good running start at it.
On the arm.
He got let off there a little bit. I think Adelaide had some pretty good defense and just reached in just at the last minute there.
And we've seen Andrew Warren shoot himself into some rhythm. We've seen him play some horrible early quarters and come home like a house on fire in the fourth. And you don't even know where it comes from. Just all of a sudden, late in the game on the line, gets a sniff, knocks one down, pumps his fist, and then hits 4 or 5.
That's all you need, isn't it? One shot to go in, especially if you've got a shooter's mentality. You're hot. Once that first one goes, you're hot. And he's got really good technique on his shot there as well.
All Rivers women's sandals reduced to $20. Over 162 style and colour combinations. All Rivers women's sandals reduced to $20.
The war to defeat hair loss is now over. Advanced laser therapy fights for hair regrowth while strand by strand replaces hair that's been lost forever. That's a total victory.
Just like mine.
Call now.
Fouling. We're in the bonus. So we can't play. That means we don't play deep. We still play deep, but we just don't play with our hands. You get a hand up, you can test the shot, and then you box out. The number of second efforts I've got. We're going to be able to keep them off the glass. Now let's go shirt 1 straight out of the timeout. Okay? You will guard. If I've still got Williams in, you'll guard Williams, you'll guard Jamar. Okay, boys, and you'll have Warren. Okay, we'll go. Ready? Let's go, boys. Stop. Let's go. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Brett, this game's drawn a little closer. Cairns have trimmed the lead down to 7. Or the deficit, I should say, to 7. And most of the stats, you look at them, they're pretty close. Cairns are shooting 42%, Adelaide 41. 37, 30 in the three-point department, 4 for 5, and 5 for 5 in the free throw department. Rebounds are 12 to 10. So, you know, it is a 7-point game, but it seems like it's a tied score according to the stats.
Yeah, well, Cairns have really picked up their output in this quarter. They've picked up their shooting percentage, that's for sure. If we looked at that timeout there with Marty Clark, he's really conscious of Adelaide keeping up that pressure in this quarter at the defensive end. They are in foul trouble now. Any more fouls, they'll send Cairns to the line. So they've got to be conscious of playing good D, but not putting their hands in.
Well, Cairns do wear you down over the course of 40 minutes as Dean Brebner drills them both and makes it a 5-point game. Well, Brebner came alive late in the season last year. Knocked down some huge shots in that matchup against New Zealand. Games 1 and 2. Warren throws it upstairs to Diamond Simpson. Shot clock expires, but it goes to Cairns anyway and play on. Loughton. His jump hook is good. It looked like he didn't even have his hand on the ball all the way.
Yeah, real nicer finish. He was slight fadeaway on that little hook shot as well.
Williams gets hands in, does a great job of kicking it to Brebner and getting it back. And those are the field goal shots. Adelaide, percentage there.
Nice drive
really
there
cooled down the 36ers.
Yeah, nice drive there by Williams. He did have Loughton down low. If he didn't have the drive, they probably should have got it in down to Loughton after hitting that nice little shot just a minute ago.
When you miss an inside target, you want to make sure you make those free throws.
Especially if it's a big guy. If he's run the whole length of the court and got open, they want to get the ball.
Gets the second one to go. And he made a hell of an adjustment because that first one was way off the mark.
It was way off. As we see Cairns bring this back to a 2-point game, they've done a great job here of making this a ball game.
Cairns has scored the last 9. Adelaide trying to respond. Fouls on Kerry Williams. I was looking at the screening action on the other side of the court. I didn't even see that happen right in front of us. And Adelaide will inbound the basketball from the sideline.
You guys got to be a lot quicker. Half the crowd is in the end. Watch your huddle, okay? Let's go.
Way. Spins. Tough shot. Soft roll by Stephen Way over Alex Loughton. Kind of shot it in between beats.
He did, didn't it? It didn't look real fluid, but he had real soft touch on it. If you can get it up there, have that real soft touch, then it's got a good chance of bouncing around and bouncing in.
Oh, you can't grab him.
Stephen Woodbury was the best guy I saw at that when getting into that lane with a little soft touch. Of course, playing many years for Brisbane.
He was a tough cover. And I remember covering a game where he had 47 on the Southeast Melbourne Magic, and they had they had a team of good defenders. I'm sure you remember that. Jason Smith, Sam McKinnon, Mike Kelly. They ran the whole team on him. They had no answer for him. And you know how the Southeast Melbourne Magic used to just have half of the team sitting on the split line. It didn't matter.
Yeah, they did. And what stopped Steve Woodbury in the end, he blew his knee out and never really recovered from that, which was unfortunate because he was such a talent.
Adelaide just get it in. Creek to Simpson. He ran into a body or two. Warren. Cairns don't look great against that Adelaide pressure.
They just look a bit shaky, don't they? They get in, they get themselves into a little bit of trouble.
Wilson steps behind the three-point line.
Just didn't really catch that in motion. He just fumbled it a little bit, had to take that bounce. And when you're shooting with a fumble, it can sometimes really throw the shot off.
Creek. Not much of a threat from the perimeter. Everybody backs away. Simpson with the reverse layup. And again, Adelaide can't get the roll. Warren with the jam.
Got up nice and easy there. A little cherry pick, but you can get it, why not?
Warren somehow stays under control. Let's see if that gets Andrew Warren going.
Cairns have really picked up their pressure here at the defensive end. A real noticeable lift in their output at the defensive end is creating some opportunities, and they've been able to score down the other end. That's got us back to a tight ball game at 30-all.
Throws upstairs, and alley-oop to Diamond Simpson. Good pass from Mitch Creek.
Real nice pass there from Mitch Creek, just on the money. Diamond Simpson creating a little bit of room. Nice lob over the top.
Wilson back to Brebner. Williams with a long three. Simpson with the board. 36ers in transition. Bartlett skips it to Stephen Way. Loughton pulls down the board. Cairns will slow it down.
First three that Stephen Way's missed, 2 of 3. It was a nice shot. He had plenty of room there and just came up short.
Williams. Crowd wanted to travel. Brebner with a long bomb from the baseline.
Dagger there. They've played pretty good D there. They've just left a little opening and Brebner able to slot it through.
Bartlett creates the contact, gets himself to the line. Aaron Fern pretty happy with that three-point shot by Dean Brebner that gives the Cairns Taipans the lead for the first time tonight. They're up 33-32. Well, Marty Clark calls a timeout and a little bit of a run. Cairns just with that three-point basket taking the lead, but really the second quarter has been theirs because the 36ers, Brett, have only scored 8 points.
Yeah, not a good quarter so far for the 36ers as we see some interesting poses there by the dance girls, but Adelaide really need to get back on track, start executing, cutting down their turnovers. They haven't had too many turnovers this quarter. They're only 8 for the game, but they need to start executing, getting the ball to their primary scorers. I'd like to see Diamond Simpson get a few more touches down low. And I think they could probably single out Stephen Way down in the post. I think Cairns don't really have someone who can stop him down low when he gets. He's very effective down there.
He's deceptively big, Stephen Way, isn't he? I stood next to him, and I mean, sometimes you forget how big these guys are because they're so mobile. I mean, he's athletic, jumps well, shoots well, handles the ball. And he's just so fluent out there, and then you stand next to him. I don't think he's 6'8".
Yeah, he's 6'8", and a lot of the skinnier guys appear taller as well. But because he's so well built, you think of him as about a 6'5", 6'6". He plays in the 3 spot as well, so you think of him around that high. But yeah, you stand next to him, and you have to crane the neck to look up there.
Yeah, you do expect him to just have like some bust-out games where he just drops 30 and, you know, goes on a streak and totally dominates. And I remember when the Sydney Kings picked up Frank Drimmick, and they were having kind of a disappointing year, kind of halfway to 3/4 of the way through. And one person said to me, he said, you know, Frank Drimmick hasn't had that game where he just said, you know, I'll put you on my shoulders. And that's the type of ball player I think Steve Way is that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, and you just sit there waiting, and you know it's going to come. I know Frank Drimmick had some really good games. He had a really good game here that I remember. I think it was in a semi-final or grand final series against us when he was playing for the Magic. But, yeah, I'd really like to see him have that breakout game where he can score 30-odd points because he's very capable. He's on 12 now. Maybe this could be it tonight.
Williams slows it down against the zone of the Adelaide 36ers. Williams exploring, he finds Jamar Wilson. His lefty doesn't find the mark. Simpson just strong on that one. Just clearing out on that rebound. It's all tied up at 33.
Adelaide are in that zone. I'd like to see Cairns run a few more screens out the side because Adelaide are having to switch and have someone like Chris Warren matching up on an Alex Loughton, and it's a big mismatch down there if they can get to that.
Loughton doing a good job of getting that outlet pass out. As soon as he did that, it was pretty much a score. Way finds his way to the basket. So Stephen Way with 14 on 5 of 7 shooting.
Just a little bit too easy there in the end. Once he got past Brebner, there was just no help there from Kansas. Brebner steps up and shoots another 3.
Kerry Williams gets the foul. Got hands in there. Got called for the push. Get another look.
Don't run the baseline, mate. All right. Here we go.
Once again, his hands were fairly clean. His momentum did carry him into Simpson a little bit there, but it was one of those 50-50 calls that he's missed out on.
Bartlett finds Nathan Herbert, but he stepped out of bounds first. Again, tied at 35.
doing a reasonable job of getting in behind the zone defense, Cairns zone defense.
Warren, clean look outside the three-point line, can't get it. Loudon cleans it up with an offensive rebound. That's what Adelaide were doing to Cairns earlier in the ball game, and now in the second quarter, Cairns have reeled them in on the offensive glass, and now have a 2-point lead, 37-35, and it's been really a role reversal, hasn't it?
It has. 36ers have gone a little bit smaller at the moment with Stephen Way and Daniel Johnson. They've got Simpson and Halliwell out of the game, so we'll see if they can get those boards under control at that end of the court.
Red as the entertainment happens here. They do a great job. We always talk about, you know, other cities where Perth do a great job, Sydney do a great job, but they do a great job here too. But the 36ers, you know, it's a game of momentum swings, and a good timeout by Marty Clark. Cairns have had their little bit of run, but Adelaide, usually after a timeout, usually executes something really well.
Yeah, they are one of the teams, I know from experience, that a lot of guys tend to switch off in timeouts, and even if you draw up a play, the amount of times it doesn't get executed would be high. So I have listened to them a lot, and they generally do go out and run that first play pretty well. So we expect to see them with a play in hand here out of this timeout, and we'll see if they can execute it. Voice is a little bit croaky tonight, Steve. We've been at the TriStar Masterville camp all week, and they have 200 kids to yell and scream at all week. My voice is just hanging in.
So you don't do those real cameo appearances where it's just the Brett Maher camp and you take pictures at the end. You're amongst it during the week.
I try and get down and dirty with the kids. I took most of the under-14 kids through the camp this week, and we had a ball together. We really have a lot of fun.
Way. He's had a night so far. That one comes up short. Alex Loudon gets a piece of it. Bartlett thought he saw Daniel Johnson streaking to the hoop, but he was on his heels.
Just trying to be a little bit too tricky there, Bartlett. As we see another timeout, Aaron Fern calling his troops in.
Aaron Fern with a timeout and his team with a 2-point lead. Just 22.8 seconds till halftime. We'll listen in to the 36ers huddle.
Stop it, fellas. What's the hit, Tat? What's the hit? Early ball through. Okay, so normal rules. Anything in the middle, we're just going to switch and sit down and guard Lauren and make him go to his right. Okay? Don't help up the corners. If we get it and run. So you can hedge at it, know who you're guarding, who can do what, and we must complete the possession and box out. Okay, if it's a side ball screen, it's a hard show. If it's over here, it's a hard show on this. You've got to get back on the ball quickly to release him, and you've got to sprint out of there. Must sprint. Go. Here we go. Don't foul. Don't foul. Big stop. 1, 2, 3. Sixers. Let's finish this quarter.
It's been pretty much, we talk about a role reversal. Cairns scored 12 points in the first quarter to Adelaide's 24. Now in the second quarter, Cairns have scored 25 to Adelaide's 11.
Yeah, it's been completely different quarters here. I think the biggest thing that we see out of that timeout that Marty just called is going to be blocking out on this shot, because if Cairns come up here and can get a shot away, if it does miss, Adelaide have to be able to step up that defensive rebound. Otherwise, Cairns have just had too many second shot opportunities in this quarter.
Wilson going up against Chris Warren. He just blows by Daniel Johnson. Perfectly timed. The Cairns Taipans execute a layup.